Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Hope Dealer 1177 channel, where I am Rick, and you are the lovely, wonderful, beautiful collective. And I thank you for your time, thank you for your energy, I thank you for clicking and watching, likes, shares, and comments. Thank you, thank you. So, guys, this will not include any cards or tarot. This is just going to be me sharing some of my own story. And I'm going to go back to we'll just say 1996 and before for right now. But yeah, I was a pretty lost kid. In 1996 I was 15, and I was already wrapped up into drinking and drugs, getting kicked out of schools, and I was in a very dark place. I was very lost. There was a time frame, especially when I was like in elementary school, where I was like drawn to these books of astrology that I found in my grandma's attic. And the other book was on different psychic gifts and stuff. I just enjoyed reading, and it was fascinating to me. That's when I found out I was an Aquarius. And then I think when I was 13, I bought a deck of tarot cards, and like the interest was there. Like I was always like in the bookstore or library, and like in the New Age section, searching. I was always searching because what I knew was pretty dark. The existence that I knew, the life that I knew as a kid, as a teenager, as an adolescent. Hence why I did what I did. You know what I mean? And, but yeah, I was really dark. I mean, there's people out there, I imagine, that watch that might have known me before then. Like, you wouldn't know, you wouldn't be like, that was you, like. But I was I was expelled from all the schools in the county, and I had to go to like these special schools to prove that I could, re-enter regular public school. And so the last one, I get a little confused because there was two of them, but the one where this experience happened was it was called Adolescent Day Hospital. It was at a mental hospital that had many different, it was a big property, and there was supposed to be a preacher or a pastor that was to hold this spiritual issues group, I think it was called, and like he never showed up. I mean, over and over and over. And then one day he showed up. Now, me being, I was into it all. Like, you know what I mean? At this point in my life, I was listening to Marilyn Manson, dark stuff. I was dark. I was in my shadow. It was all I knew, really. Kind of. And a lot of that is generational curses and bondage. So, at this hospital, I was like, it's religious. I said, I don't have to sit in that group. You can't force me to, And they're like, you're right. So you can sit out here. And there was someone else that, did the same thing. So we both sat out on this couch in the, like, rec room or something. After a couple minutes, I was like, hey, I guess I'll hear what he has to say. So I sat down. Now, I wasn't raised in the church or anything like that. I did go to vacation Bible school a few times and knew some stories of the Bible, David and Goliath, and that's the story that he was reading. And he was saying, like, basically, David being small and like the runt of the family, and he went up against the giant Goliath, and how God can help you overcome your problems. And it wasn't even so much the story. It was the spirit. It was his words, I guess, Like, and in that group, while he's talking, like, it was like I was hit with a lightning bolt. It was a white light experience for me. I walked out of that room knowing that what I was doing and how I was living my life was wrong. And it was kind of hard for me a little bit, like, because I was like, damn, like, all this, like, I'm wrong. Like, I'm treating people wrongly and just behaving bad, like, you know what I mean? So, I walked around in a daze, probably for a few days, but definitely like that 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. There was a man already placed in my life that I met through community service. Long story, but yeah, I had to do this thing with this, it's called Youth for Christ, and he was my mentor, and I helped them, do things, set things up, or whatever. So, and I was like, Kevin, I found God. I was like, I think I'm supposed to pray or something. I don't know. So he picked me up, and we talked and went around and picked up the kids for kids club. And here I am helping people get on a van or bus, like, just doing things I didn't normally do. And that was, under 24 hours. That was like immediately, like. But I was ushered into Christianity. It took me a while to grasp this, that, it's like, I could have had this spiritual experience, say if I was Indian and I was in India. Well, then they would have took me to the Hindu temple, probably. Or if I was in the Middle East or somewhere where, Islam is prevalent, they would have took me to the mosque. You see what I'm getting to here? And I was like, now, I do believe Jesus is the gateway and the key to all this, like what he taught, But see, not everything he teaches is taught in the church. I don't identify as a Christian because it's what I believe is, like, totally different from what they do. But I believe in a lot of gods and goddesses because they have come to me. They have led and guided me. It's like through Jesus, like, it's like going through this gateway. And then everything opens up. That's how I feel. But I had problems in church. People trying to dim my light. All these people that I was there for and helped when I had problems. They might have sent a card. It wasn't much, like, I would watch people on Sundays be phony and wear masks. Like, this is supposed to be the family of God, the church of God, like, an organic family, like, and I'm like, these people sit near each other every day at church, or every Sunday, but, like, they say the same things to each other every Sunday after the sermon's over. They stand up and, oh, hey, brr, 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 brr. And I'm like, they're being so phony. This is before, like, I really knew about that I was an empath, like, and energy and stuff. Like, it took a long time. And that was a lot of, like, indoctrination, shame, guilt, this, that, and the other, But, I got taken away from that. I chose to walk away, but I would constantly, back and forth, in and out, lots of struggles. Because, I went back into, the darkness again. It was a battle back and forth, and trying to get recovery, trying to overcome my addiction. And, So, I had an awakening back in 1996 that changed my life and a lot of people's lives through that moment. Because I touched a lot of lives. I shared this with a lot of people because I was like, wow, like, my life is different and changed. And it was God. I got taken away from that path. I chose to walk away. You know what I mean? I was led away. I chose a relationship that I had lessons to learn. You know what I mean? I had things I needed to learn. I needed to learn my work. So much of this ties into childhood, the wounds, the inner child healing. Like a year ago, I started having another awakening. Like, it was creeping up. You know what I mean? Like, I was catching on to people's things. And see, once I was in recovery, I could pick up on people's stuff. It just was 11:11 on the clock. I started seeing people for who they were, that their words and actions did not match up. And this was something else I started on when I was still using. I was like, man, these people are supposed to be my people, my boys, like the people I deal with and interact with like almost on a daily basis. But what they say and do don't add up. And they don't say what they mean. And they don't mean what they say. Because even when I was out there using in my lowest points, like, there was a lot of things I wouldn't do. There was a lot of things that, you know what I mean, that only happened at the very end in 2016 when I saw a window of opportunity and I took that window of opportunity for my recovery. Yup. So there's a little bit of my story. I don't want to make this too long. 12-12. Bam. I started seeing angel numbers about 2-3 years ago, and it was here and there, and the last year or two has just been year and a half, 2 years, and then this year, synchronicities are just beyond numbers and other things. Just, I'm living a supernatural life these days. There's a lot going on in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of like Bane and Batman. Like, I was born in the darkness. I was raised in it by the darkness. I know it very well. And that's the biggest problem that they have, is that I know the darkness. I know the secrets. I know all kinds of things. I've been there, done that. I feel things. You know what I mean? Like, I see things. Yeah. And so what I'm saying here is maybe you'll find some encouragement in this, some inspiration, or maybe some of this will resonate with you. But this is just barely scratching the surface. But I really felt Spirit telling me to start sharing this stuff out. It's been a long time since I gave a testimony. Like, I'm telling you, like, I was on fire for the Lord. Like, in the church setting, like evangelism, like all kinds of things. Like, that same zeal is inside of me, but it's different. Like, there's so much more. So much more. And I learned that firsthand. Through experiences. Like Lord Shiva. I can't even get into all that right now, but like, he's very real. Like, they're all very real. Like, so anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. And like I said, I hope this brings some type of, we get many awakenings, and we go through healing and stuff. I mean, so what happens is, if you resist the healing and following Spirit, this energy, I'm telling you, see, like when I was back, I did it back in, 96 and before and forward. Like, I mean, a few years ago, all I was doing was stuffing my feelings. and this was building up. I had narcissists, draining me, and I didn't even know really what the hell was going on, but I knew that there were some funny people, but I just couldn't, wrap my head around that it's the people closest to me were narcissists. I didn't know anything about narcissism, like, we'll say the labels and terminology and stuff, until more recently, a couple years ago, I started looking into, like, the behaviors of these people. And before I went and, talked to these people, I put myself through the ringer of it. Am I one? I found some things that, I was like, ooh, like, and I went to people and I said, hey, do you think I found these things and I'm just trying to, like, keep everything 100 here. Like, before I go and talk to someone about them being a narcissist and gaslighting and stuff, like, I want to make sure that I'm not one, like, and being a hypocrite. But, one of my biggest gifts from the divine and from myself is my recovery. Absolutely, because that was part of the key of unlocking all this, because no one could say, oh, you were high, or you were drunk, or you were this, or you were that, or you're withdrawing, or you need a fix, or you need this or that. Because even in those moments, I still knew what I felt and seen and watched and heard. But these people would play these games, interjecting things into my mind, making me doubt myself, my intuition, amongst other things. But life is grand. See, we rise up, we heal, and we keep moving forward. And I'm telling you, man, it drives these narcissists crazy. And when they can't hurt you or, mess with you, and you stand up for yourself, you stand in your power, they can't handle it. They can't handle it because they're cowards. And really, they're just fragile. There's a term that we used in recovery, like in AA, is that we are egomaniacs with inferiority complex, and that's a good description of a narcissist. Imagine being an egomaniac and being insecure. That leads to a fragile or covert narcissist amongst, like, probably all of them. I don't know. I try not to get into it because I don't want to focus my energy into that, but we got to keep it real and be aware of things, because otherwise they will take you to the cleaners, energetically, financially. And I've seen it. I've seen people pass because of narcissists in their lives, draining them, draining that life force. I've seen it. I promise you. I promise you. And that's why I take this stuff seriously, because they almost got me. Not almost. They didn't have a chance, but I had quite a number feeding on me. Yeah. But you know what? I've learned so much from all those people. Like, so many valuable lessons that I didn't have yet from these narcissists coming into my life. I've learned so much. Like, they were teaching me the things I needed to know about narcissism. Like some of these people would straight up tell me, like, these things. This one individual. Hope she's doing well. But the Moon Queen, I'll just call her that. She taught me a lot. Like, she would literally tell me what she was doing and then do it. Like, she taught me a lot of terminology on narcissism. I already knew some of it, but she taught me a lot. But I hope she heals and goes forward, just like the other people. But, you know what I mean? It's a different day, it's a different day. Anyway, I could keep talking like I do. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Too blessed to be stressed.